Hello everyone and welcome back to our third installment of Warcry 2.0. This time we're taking a look at the Daughters of Khaine. First up we're going to talk about the new units, how they perform points wise, then about the new leader abilities they get, and lastly we'll be taking a look at which kind of lists I think are going to be the most popular, most powerful lists out there. So let's get right into it, shall we? So the Daughters of Khaine already used to have a lot of model options. They had the Witch Elves with multiple weapons and the leader option. They had Sisters of Slaughters with all those three things. Blood Sisters, Blood Stalkers, and then the Keenrai, the Flying Harpy ladies. On top of that, they get one more unit option now, which is the Doomfire Warlock. He comes in at 140 points, has 10-inch movement because he's of course on a horse. He gets the mounted keyword, toughness 3 and 18 wounds. So not super survivable, but 18 wounds will keep him around for quite a while, and 10-inch move obviously very good. He gets a ranged attack and a melee attack, but both of them are very weak. His range attack is 12 inches, so that is far. He can really skirmish in a way, so you could absolutely like fire a shot and then move away from your opponent and they would never be able to catch you. However, they would only want to catch you if you did any serious kind of damage when shooting. Sadly, you don't, because 2 attacks, strength 3, 1-3 damage, that is a very bare bones shooting attack. Which is not justified for 140 points. Obviously, a big chunk of those high points are his movement, but given that you'll have to move around some things as well, oftentimes because you can't climb and can't go through archways, I don't think the Doomfire Warlock is that amazing. Then we've got the Bloodbrag Medusa. She's 255 points. I think the most the most expensive model on the warband, well, apart from the Medusa Iron Scale. Movement 7. So again, that's the same all the snake ladies have basically, which is very good. Movement 7 is great. Toughness 4. So solid toughness, 35 wounds. Very survivable there. A range 2 attack, so kind of spear-like attack. 4 attacks, strength 4, 3-5 damage. That is some significant damage output there, coming in at 7.4 damage on average. Quite good. I think she's very solid in terms of her stat line, although of course she is quite expensive. Then we've got the Hag Queen. She is only 140 points, so very cheap. Movement 5, toughness 3, 20 wounds. Not a super survivable leader. She's lower average survivability than most of your Chaos Warcry leaders. They tend to have toughness 4 and 20 wounds, so slightly less survivable than that, but also very cheap. Range of 1, 3 attacks, strength 4, 2-4 damage. So it's an okay-ish attack profile. The 3 attacks are not great. If she had 4 attacks, I think she'd be a bit better, a bit more solid. As it stands, I just don't think she is enough of a fleshy leader to really take her. But depending on your abilities, you might want to bring her still, because you can bring 2 heroes or allies now. Sorry, 1 leader and 1 basically hero is what it's called. So one of your other leader models who's not acting as a leader. So if you want to get a cheap second leader model in there, you could get the Hag Queen. Then we've got the Slaughter Queen, 170 points, so 30 points more expensive. 5-inch move, toughness 3, 20 wounds. 1 inch range, 5 attacks, so 2 attacks more than the Hag Queen. That's the only difference so far. At strength 4, 2, 4 damage. So for 30 points, all you get here is 2 extra attacks. That is nice. 2 extra attacks are big. 6.7 damage. You can see she's almost dealing 2 points extra damage on average. So the Slaughter Queen is definitely solid. However, 170 points is not cheap, so if her ability doesn't justify it, I don't think she's worth bringing over the Hag Queen probably. Then we've got the Melusai Iron Scale, and that's the one model that Games Workshop had to put in there to be horrible because I don't know, that seems to be the way it works. There has to be one horrible model. And we saw that with the Iron Jaws and that mage in the Iron Jaws, and we're seeing the same thing here. The Melusai Iron Scale is 275 points, so still more more expensive than the Bloodbrag Medusa. Movement 7, toughness 4, 32 wounds, so 3 wounds less, still very survivable. So this is no issue, this is a great stat line. But she gets the normal attack characteristic that every mage has, but I ignored that for the purpose of this because we all know it's horrible. So let's focus on her melee stats, which are actually pretty decent. 2-inch range, 5 attacks, strength 4, 2-4 damage. That puts her at 6.7 damage on average, which is almost as good as the Bloodbrag Medusa. But you do see the issue here. She costs 20 points more than the Bloodbrag Medusa, and so far she deals almost one entire point less damage and is has 3 wounds less. So if it's not her abilities that justify bringing her, there's going to be no reason to bring it at all. And then we've got the Master of Warlocks. He's the Doomfire Warlock champion. 190 points, again not super expensive for a leader. 10 movement 10 of course. Toughness 3, 10, 28 wounds. So definitely more survivable than the Hag Queen and the Slaughter Queen are, but also more expensive. Again, you pay for those wounds, you pay for the 10-inch move, but of course the mounted keyword as well there. He does have a ranged attack as well, and it's not at all better than that of the normal Doomfire Warlock, which is sad. Which 1.4 damage is just pitiful. So yeah, I struggle to see how this guy is going to perform unless his ability is the best in the world. Speaking of abilities, let's swap over to my other page here and see what we've got. Right, I forgot to put that away again. Great. Anyways, the Doomfire Warlock and the Doomfire Warlock Leader, we're going to do them together. The damage per point value is not only below average, but it's absolute trash tier. This is horrible, horrible damage per point value. Decent activations to be killed, but nothing spectacular. It's okay because they are relatively cheap, so it's justified by the points. You can bring them if you really, really want that movement 10, but if you really want movement 10, you could also bring a Kinerai, one of the flying ladies. Yeah, they fly. They have movement 10 fly, which is a lot better than movement 10 on a horse. So I don't really see any point in bringing the Doomfire Warlock. They do get one new ability. So one ability that all the Doomfire Warlocks can bring is roll as many dice equal to the value of your ability against one enemy in 9 inches, and each 4+ deals 2 damage. That's a triple ability. So say you roll a triple 4, you draw 4 dice, 2 of those are going to roll a 2 up, or 4 up on average, so that's going to be 4 damage. For a triple, I think that's a little bit underwhelming. I just don't see the Doomfire Warlock being used ever at all. Then we've got the Bloodbrag Medusa, who I said her damage output was good, it is, but she's quite expensive, so that keeps her like in the mid tier of average damage. So 7.4 damage is good, but she's 255 points. What's very good about her, though, is how survivable she is. She is actually the most point-efficient model in terms of survivability in the entire warband, and requires 7 activations to be taken down, which is nice. And add that to the fact that she can move 7 inches, I think that is not bad. Then we've got the Hag Queen, of course, average damage per point value, because she's cheap. Her damage is bad, but she's cheap as well. Um, Relatively easy to take down, but no surprise there at her point cost. Kind of the same goes for the Slaughter Queen, other than the fact that she is a lot more punchy than the Hag Queen, and therefore her damage per point value is better. So she's one of the more punchy models in the warband. And then we've got the Melusai Iron Scale. Well, you're not going to be surprised when I say that she's dealing below average damage. So her damage is lower than that of the Bloodbrag Medusa, but she costs more points. So unsurprisingly, she's going to be in a less favorable spot there. Also quite survivable, which is nice, but the higher point cost means that it's not actually possibly worth the points. And then we've got the Master of Warlocks. I'm not going to talk about him anymore. So, what do we have for leader abilities? Well, the Hag Queen, remember, she's 140 points and she gets her own ability, which is nice. But she can only add the value of her double to the strength of one friendly unit within 3 inches of her for one attack action. That does not seem worth it. You're probably almost always going to be better off using Onslaught for a double. So I think this is not a great leader ability. You do get a triple, which all of your units or all of your leaders can use, which is add 1 attack to all friendly units within 6 inches if an enemy was killed by this leader this turn. So when I slay an enemy, I can then use a triple to give everyone extra attacks around me. That is a good ability. It's kind of limited because it means you need a leader that's able to dish out damage. If your leader doesn't punch hard, he's never gonna trigger this ability. He's never gonna be able to kill someone and then trigger that nice aura buff. So yeah, let's keep that in mind. Then we've got the Medusa, so the Bloodbrag Medusa. She gets her own triple ability, which is throw 2 dice at one enemy within 9 inches of her. Oh, sorry, no, within the dice value inches of her. So if it's a triple 4, let's say it would be 4 inches of her. So the enemy has to be relatively close. But if you roll a 3 up on either of those 2 dice, it nets the opponent at play, so he can't move or disengage anymore. I think normal nets, which only allow you to roll 1 dice and on a 3 up pin someone in place, are already very good. This is obviously a lot better because failing on both dice is a lot less likely. That's only a 1 in 9 chance to fail. So really good, reliable ability. Which on top of that, if you roll any 6s, each 6 on those 2 dice you roll deals damage equal to the value of the ability. So you get that on top. It's mainly a net, but you do have a chance of dealing some good damage as well. I like that. And then we've got a quad, and the quad is for the Slaughter Queen. She can add half the value of the ability to the damage characteristic for both normal and critical damage for all friendly units in 8 inches. That is amazing. It's a quad, so you're not guaranteed to get it. You might not roll triples the entire game, so you won't be able to add 1 wild dice to make a quad. But it's a great ability. This is going to ramp up your damage insanely. So you've got the Witch Elves the best normal fighters in the Warband are the Sisters of Slaughter with knives. They have a normal damage output of 1/4, which results in average damage of 3.4. Let's just, for the sake of argument, say you rolled a triple two, a quad 3 or 4, so average. So you'd add 2 to your damage characteristic. Now let's watch what happens. So her base damage would be 3, her crit damage would be 6, and any normal Sister of Slaughter would deal 6 damage in one action. Now, punching in twice, that would be 12 damage, and that's only one of your fighters, and you're buffing all the fighters around you. So, in a good case scenario, you're easily gonna be able to deal 30 to 40 points of damage with this ability. I think it's pretty insane. Right. So yeah, having talked about all those abilities, I should not have switched back. What kind of lists do we want to build? Well, before I show you, nothing has changed about the fact that our Sisters of Slaughter with the knife are great options. They deal a lot of damage, they have 2-inch range, and 5-inch movement is good. So the Sisters of Slaughters with knives are still going to be top choices. You're going to want to spam them. But you do have more leader options now. In the past, I think the Blood Sister leader was your best choice because her melee damage was good enough to trigger that to kill an opponent and therefore give you the aura of extra attacks. However, now you don't have to rely on that because you get other good leader abilities and good leader choices. I think the two best ones are the Bloodbrag Medusa because she deals a lot of damage herself, so she can also easily trigger that triple ability for adding attacks. On top of that, she has her own triple, which is just going to allow her to pin important enemy targets in place, remove some of those most dangerous fighters from play, basically, for a turn, which can be absolutely amazing. So, I love her. And then you've got the Slaughter Queen, who with her quad can ramp up your Sisters of Slaughter to 250 power in no time. So there's quite a couple of very good options now. Now, let me show you what I came up with. I would bring the Slaughter Queen and the Bloodbrag Medusa. Either of them as your leader doesn't matter at all because both of them get access to all abilities. I'd probably just call the Medusa your leader because she's more survivable, and should you have like a mission where it's the goal to kill the enemy leader, your Bloodbrag Medusa would do better in that kind of circumstance. So say we take the Bloodbrag Medusa as your leader, I would get the Slaughter Queen as her second in command, basically. That gives you access to the 3 best leader abilities this warband has to offer. The fourth one is quite kind of bad, so you don't need that. Obviously, you're not going to be able to use all of those. 2 of them are triples, and 1 of them is a quad, so you can't use all of them all the time. But you're very able to use the ones that are good um, and in the right circumstances. So you don't always need to pin enemy models down. Sometimes you have that big brawl fight where you need that extra damage out of the Slaughter Queen quad. Sometimes you don't have the quad, so you're going to kill someone with a Medusa and then add lots of attacks to everyone using that triple. On the other hand, sometimes your opponent might be running an Ogre Breach or something, like one powerful model that's most important to his warband. Ogre Breach um, isn't even necessarily a great example because he's not that powerful, but there's some very powerful models, especially now, who cost a lot of points, and if you can just pin one down and remove him from play for a turn, that's going to be very good. So You have a lot of options now with great leader abilities if you bring these two. On top of that, you get 7 Sisters of Slaughter who are fast, who are good damage, who are going to win you the game on objectives and dealing serious hurt to your opponents. That puts you at 9 models, which is a good place to be in. 950 points, which is a bit sad. 50 points is a lot. Um, I'm sure you could kind of change this around to somehow to, I don't know. You could probably like drop a lot of Sisters of Slaughters with knife and get a lot of witch elves or something. Don't know that I recommend it, but it would probably be possible. Yeah. So but this would be my list. I think this is going to give you a lot of great stuff, a lot of great punching power, a lot of mobility. Honestly, also this warband has improved a lot with the update. So yeah, that's all I had to say. Thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next one.